Today I wanted to talk about something that will be quite well known for some of you, and others of you this has been a question for a little while, or maybe you didn't even know this feature existed. On your Strymon small box pedals, like what you can see on screen, we have a V1 El Cap and we have an Iridium. In between we have an H9 by Eventide as well. But on your small box Strymon pedals, how do you maintain your stereo signal through the pedals? And what are the other options that are available to you? This is a multifaceted question. There's not just one simple answer, do this and you're done. You actually have to consider what cables to get, you need the right hardware, and then what settings to have on the pedal itself. So let's go through this quickly and I will show you how you can run stereo, dual mono, all with these Strymon small box pedals and other pedals represented by the H9 in between that signal as well. First thing you're going to need, I have it right here beside me, a TRS to dual mono cable or an insert cable. Basically what these cables allow you to do is connect a stereo insert on one side and split it out to a left and a right or A and a B on the other, all within this cable. So essentially the sleeve on the TRS side is common. The sleeves on these sides all share that same connection. The tip on the TRS side will go to one cable or one side. This, let's say, is the left side of your stereo signal. And then the ring of the TRS is connected to the other cable, maybe the right side of your stereo signal. So that is how this cable works. It's crucial if you want to maintain a stereo signal through your Strymon small box pedals. But that is only step one. So as you can see on the top cam here, we have one of these insert cables going from the A and B output of the H9, same as the left and the right, and it goes to TRS, or this end of the Iridium, and it goes on the TRS input. So if you were to just play like that and you didn't quite have the toggle set to the way they should be on the pedals, you might end up with something like I'm about to play. This is an audio example in mono. So that is the signal in mono. Even though we have everything cabled up as if it was in stereo, we're still getting a mono signal. That could be because of two different spots on this signal chain. The first one we're going to check is on the front of the Iridium. There is a toggle there labeled mono, stereo, or sum. What we're going to do instead of mono, which tells the Iridium we now have a mono input, not what we want right now, we're going to flip that to stereo. Now what it's going to do is take the tip and the ring input on that TRS input jack, and it's going to allow both of them to function separately. It's going to take the stereo output of our H9 and receive both that left and right signal, passing it through the Iridium still in stereo. Lastly, we also have a sum. That will still allow you to do whatever you want on the input, but it's going to sum the output. So you're going back to mono again. This is for when you are at a venue, your board is wired up in stereo, but you only maybe have one line available for that venue or that gig. You can flip it over to sum, and now you can just take one output, send it to a DI, and you are now good to go in mono. There are, obviously, as you guys are aware, some phasing issues that can happen depending on the type of effect you use when you sum to mono. So if the option is there, wire all your pedals in mono if you can, and then that'll sound probably a little bit better, especially if you're using things like chorus or tremolo. Delay and reverb, I really wouldn't worry about it. Other modulation-based effects, it's worth changing over if you have the time to do so, if it's not an emergency type situation where an amp has died or a cable has failed and you have no time in between songs. Hit the sum button, good to go. So that is basically it for the Iridium. The other thing that may happen in this example is the El Capistan V1, the earlier version of the El Capistan. If you wanted to run a TRS input on this, let's say we had a stereo chorus before the El Cap, We wanted to run it in stereo from that chorus, stereo in with an insert or TRS to dual mono cable into the input of the El Cap. You actually have to open up the El Cap, open up the pedal, be amazed at the work Strymon has done on the inside. That's step one. Step two, there is a jumper. You have to flip over to stereo, and that will now accept a stereo input. A little bit more work on the El Cap to make this happen rather than that toggle switch that we see on the Iridium, but it's something you only really have to do once, and then you're good to go for stereo. So that's something I would recommend for the El Cap if it's needed as well. On the V2, it's the toggle system. You're done, flip the switch, it's all working great. So now that we have done that, we have a stereo delay here with the El Cap. The El Cap delay will move over to one side a little bit, give it a little bit more depth. Then we're going into a stereo reverb. We now have stereo working on the Iridium. So if you're wearing headphones, you're gonna now hear a wider signal. So what I'll do, just so you can hear them both side by side, I'll flip over to mono, and then shortly in between playing, I'll flip over to stereo as well. We might chop this together in post. So obviously that's a huge difference, going from mono to stereo. Even before I started playing, as soon as I flicked the switch, you can hear the signal kind of separate, get wider, and you are good to go for all of your stereo needs from that point on. Really simple if you know what to do. If you don't though, it can be a nightmare trying to hook these pedals up in stereo. Just to recap, the first thing you need to do is get a TRS to dual mono cable, also known as an insert cable. You should be able to see the link up, I'm gonna guess, that side, it's right up there. If it's not, it's up there. Those are available on our website. The next thing you need to do is make sure that the settings on your Iridium, in this example, and El Cap are actually set to receive and send stereo. Very easy to do on the newer versions. All you have to do is hit that toggle switch to stereo. On an older version of an El Cap in this example, open the pedal up, move those jumpers over, and now you're in stereo as well. All of it is very easy. It'll take you 5 minutes to do, 2 minutes to order the cable off of our website, and you are ready to go for stereo. That is it. Maintain stereo through your Strymon small box pedals. Hope that was helpful. We'll see you next week for another video on the Goodwood Audio YouTube channel.